than being able to drive around by yourself.
For the first time in 2.5 years, this father is behind the wheel of his own car on the open road.
I felt the breeze before that I right now feel electrified, like it's humming on the inside.
Aww.
So I think that's the exact nerves are already back.
That's amazing. Your hand is humming on the inside.
His new hand coming to life. Because 2 years ago, the hand he was born with looked like this.
Which I would categorize as not good.
The successful Hollywood executive defied unthinkable odds after a 2-year medical odyssey that left him narrowly escaping death and getting a new left hand in a remarkable feat of science. With his girlfriend of 7 years at his side, Jennifer Gunkel, documenting her own raw emotions. And watching his determination to heal.
That's awesome.
Back then, he was a 49-year-old entertainment executive at the top of his game, hanging with Jewel, publicizing their movie, Ring of Fire. He was also behind the miniseries The Kennedys, starring Katie Holmes.
Today's a big day. Your daddy's going to become president.
Jonathan was on his way to a reality television conference in D.C. when he was suddenly slammed with what seemed like the flu.
Felt like I've been hit by a truck. And
please
try to help me get cleaned up and, you know, get me out of here somehow.
Because you were going to power through.
To power through. It was a very important trip for my team, and they've been preparing for a long time. I needed to be there.
He drove to the ER, where he got a shot of morphine before dragging himself onto a cross-country flight. He arrived in D.C., but within 24 hours, he was fighting for his life in ICU at George Washington University Hospital. It was an unthinkable plot twist for a movie producer who never drank, never smoked, and exercised like a fiend. Now, doctors telling him to text everyone he loves, believing he has only hours to live.
I made a very conscious decision with the last moment of consciousness I had not to text my daughter, because when they told me that I had a small chance of living, that moment when I decided not to was really the moment that I decided that I just
CEO, Asylum Entertainment.
Do it. She shouldn't grow up without her daddy.
Doctors had no idea what was killing him, but they did know that his body was falling into septic shock. So he was put into a medically induced coma.
We just don't know how good we got it. We just don't know how good we got it.
Jennifer rushing to his bedside.
They're testing for everything, and everything's come back negative.
His odds of surviving, just 10%.
It was described to me as multiple organ failure. His lungs,
Jennifer Koch.
Kidneys, he had to have dialysis. Everything was shutting down.
Jennifer had been entrusted to make life or death decisions for the divorced, devoted dad, the kind who'd never miss a father-daughter dance.
I just kept thinking about his daughter, and it was just like she can't be without her dad. So I was thinking every moment, every decision I made was like, this little girl.
But essentially you held his life in your hands.
I know, and that was a really scary thing for me.
During his coma, hovering between life and death, Jonathan says he experienced powerful nightmares. One presented him with a critical choice.
A voice, a very deep, very distinct male voice. I don't know if it was my own consciousness, if it was a doctor by my bedside, if it was God. I really don't know even to this day. And it said, if you do decide you want to live, it's going to be the most vicious, painful, awful fight every day for the rest of your life.
And you were up for the fight.
When you put it that way, I was like, that I get. So I, said yes.
The instinct to fight, something instilled in him as a young boy. Mesmerized by the movie about a tenacious boxer, an underdog named Rocky.
My dad took me to a drive-in movie when I was 11 years old, and we saw Rocky. From that moment forward, I just knew that what was inside of me was way more than I had ever thought before that day.
You took Rocky as gospel.
It is the gospel. Well, first of all, he didn't win. Rocky didn't win. Like, people don't really think about that. It's about doing the work. It's about putting everything you have into it. If you just literally do your best at everything, that's really all you can do.
After his near-death experience, he woke with a newfound appreciation for what was important in his life.
Do you have a conscious memory of seeing Jennifer the first time you came out of the coma?
I wanted to marry her. That's the truth. We were not married and probably planning on not being married.
The coma lasted 2.5 weeks. The damage, severe. His body had shut off oxygen to his outer limbs to preserve his organs.
Golly,
His hands and feet were starting to die.
Oh,
Necrosis
man.
and gangrene setting in.
What does
Oh.
the pain feel like in your hand?
It feels like somebody's holding a big lighter underneath my fingertips all day, every day.
Doctors wanted to
Golly,
amputate, but Jennifer intervened.
When they came and said, we want to amputate, I immediately said, absolutely not.
She began searching for other options and eventually stumbled upon the possibility of a hand transplant. Turns out UCLA boasts pioneering hand transplant research. Only 85 have ever been attempted globally. And a world-renowned hand surgeon, Dr. Cody Azari, had been scouring the world for his next patient.
I was looking for someone that was motivated, that was healthy, and had not had his amputations done.
Because Jennifer had made the critical decision not to have Jonathan's hand amputated, he became the perfect candidate for Dr. Azari. Why go through all these surgeries, all this pain? Why not just go with a prosthetic?
When you have transplantation, they oftentimes will put you through psychiatric exercises, and one of the questions they ask me is, why do you want another hand? And I thought, well, I mean, you have two. You know, I think the world's built for two, and I can handle it.
Dr. Azari and his team began the process by first amputating Jonathan's left hand, preserving his nerves and blood vessels for the eventual transplant. But Dr. Azari also told him to get stronger and healthier. He was also gauging something else. What did you size up about his mental toughness?
His mental toughness was what actually got me to fall in love with his personality. He is an eternal optimist like I've never seen before.
But the eternal optimist faced a grim reality, that his right leg could not be saved.
Oh,
That
man.
was an extraordinarily painful moment. She was crying with me, and it was a real get it out.
We just
cry.
don't know how good we got it.
I've lost that battle was really tough for both of us.
We just don't know how good we got it.
He may have been missing a leg, a hand, all of his fingers and toes. But just like his movie hero, Rocky, even in defeat, come on, baby, push it. Jonathan kept fighting in order to qualify for that hand transplant. The first milestone, learning to walk with his new prosthetic. What was that like, that moment? What went through your mind as he took those first steps?
Don't want to fall. Jennifer was crying. I could see Scott in the mirror, so I was walking towards him. He was behind me, and I could see him.
That's why I make it a point.
Heartwarming, chilling, just almost incomprehensible.
That's about as big a Rocky's album. But
To thank my Maker
he would have an even bigger moment.
daily.
Running, just like his hero. Finally, Jonathan was ready for that hand transplant. But along the way, he
God.
wanted to make good on one particular promise. What was your wedding day like for you?
Our wedding day was very sweet. It was really non-eventful, which is the way we wanted it to be. It was really a 30-second ceremony, and it was joyous and happy, and we really didn't want anything to change. After we got married, we got something to eat, like we always do.
Their honeymoon period involved waiting for the ideal donor.
You need to match for size. You need to match for color. You need to match for hair pattern.
It took 7 months to get the call.
How are you feeling about your hand transplant surgery?
Very peaceful and hopeful that everything goes well.
And then the complex surgery, 24 tendons, countless nerve endings, veins, and arteries, microscopically stitched together.
We just don't know how good we got it, man.
Because there's so many structures that need to be repaired. Nerves are like coaxial cables, except there's no red to red, green to green, yellow to yellow connection, right? You have to figure out how they fit within each other so that the parts of the nerve that are for sensation match up and the parts of the nerve that are for motor function match up. Initial fears are that the vessels are going to clot and blood is not going to move through the hand.
There's no margin for error.
There's no margin for error.
Even if the surgery is a success, will he be able to control his new hand, or touch, or feel again? When we come back.
My belly pain and constipation, I could build a small...
God forgive me if I'm wrong on this. Chris Cornell of Audio Slave and Soundgarden, I am told, took his life, hung himself. Yet we've got somebody here who is gone through all kinds of horror, and he's fighting it out to get another hand. Yet Chris Cornell had concerts lined up. I think he was, as a matter of fact, he was in a concert, and then he goes and he does the ultimate sin, and then there's a lie going on. Oh, you're in a better place. You're at rest. No, I can't tell you what I'm going to do, but I'll tell you what. I'll get down on my knees today and pray for tomorrow. Because I don't know how much more worse thing that I could get. I don't know what kind of challenge my life is going to be. But the thing is Chris Cornell, just like Brad Delp, I think it was Boston, took his life. Just like, what was it, that model took her life. Loren Scott took her life. People at the top of their fucking game, man, got anything that they want in life. Did they ever stop to thank their maker? I have so little compared to these rich people, like Robin Williams taking his life and everything like that. Did these people ever one time get down on their knees and thank their maker? God forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but I would rather thank my maker for what little I got. Billions of people have not been born in my situation. I wasn't born without a mother, father, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, or cousin. I've been lost my whole life. If it wasn't for me practicing my guitar, I don't know where I'd be, but I thank my maker. Very few people. And yet at the same time, unless you're on TV or you make the news, nobody gives a shit about the fact that you're born a lifelong orphan. But that's okay. Hey, I'm 66 years old. Today I put my toes on a desk and my fist on the floor, knocked out 20 push-ups. So I choose to thank my maker, not damn my maker. And this lie going on about the facts are that if you're in a better place, that's a motherfucking lie right there.